Hi guys, welcome back to the Perk Pace podcast. Today we're filming at the incredible Setl, which is a brand new development in the heart of Birmingham's vibrant jewellery quarter.
Yeah, so we're just off St Paul's Square today. Setl is designed with wellness at its core, offering spacious modern apartments, as you can see, decorated to an incredible standard. It's not just a home, more like a community.
Residents have some pretty cool exclusive access to amenities such as a wellness studio, there's a rooftop terrace, and also a co-working lounge.
There's still a few 1 and 2 bedroom apartments available to purchase, so if you've ever thought about living in one of Birmingham's coolest spots, get involved.
Head over to setl.space and book your appointment today. Right, let's get into the podcast.
So, how do you feel inside? The stomach, your organ. If you really think about it, you can really start observing how you're feeling inside. But I think people are oblivious to it.
Totally.
But your body is telling you all the signals. But you need to be aware of it and listen to this.
Are we? Thanks for coming to the podcast. Are we recording? Are we going?
Yeah, it's about 5 hours in.
Awesome.
Right, welcome back to the Perk Pace podcast. So today we're joined by Guillaume Piot,
Hi.
also known as G.
Nailed it, mate.
Yeah,
Perfect.
We've been practicing that, by the way.
for like hours. Entrepreneur, business owner, ultra marathoner. But first, we've got a few quick fire questions that we want to ask.
If that's all right.
Well,
Are you
also,
ready?
I would say thanks for having me as well on the show.
Oh,
You know,
thanks. Thanks
been
for you.
watching it since you launched, and I think it's great for the Birmingham scene to have a voice, for people from Birmingham and talk about
Love
the
it.
achievement around sport
Appreciate
and
it.
fitness and business. So yeah, love it.
Thanks,
Thanks,
man. Thank you. Okay, well, we're gonna go straight with some quick fire questions that you couldn't prepare for. Don't overthink it. Just tell me the first thing that comes to your head. What's your go-to coffee order?
Well, it's a latte
Okay,
with milk and stronger as well, so
Okay.
if possible.
cool. Poached or scrambled eggs?
Scrambled. Oh! Well, I did say scrambled because, in the morning I need to do something quick.
Yeah.
I do scrambled, it's a lot quicker to
Nice.
do. But I do like poached, but it's just so much
No,
faster.
you said it now. You
Yeah,
can only have
you-
scrambled
yeah.
for the rest of your life. That's it. Least favourite gym exercise or physical activity?
You assault bike. It's got to be, isn't it?
Assault
Assault
bike.
bike.
Yeah, it's got to
Yeah.
be. It's great, but you're always in pain.
Yeah.
There's no way to do assault bike. See, I'm gonna have a good time in assault bike
It's the
today.
devil, yeah.
I'm gonna take it easy. It just
Yeah.
doesn't happen.
And even if you get better at it, it still stays hard.
Yeah. You're like, oh yeah, I do a minute, and about 30 seconds, you're like,
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, if you're in a cafe or a restaurant or a bar, what's your customer service pet peeve? What do you hate?
well, when you walk the counter and they don't look at you,
Okay, yeah.
and are they clock me out, or are they just so busy that they're like, oh, this customer.
Lack of eye contact.
And you're like, yeah, just acknowledge the fact I'm here, So sometimes they're like, oh yeah, I'm there with you in a minute. That's all it takes.
Yeah, just acknowledge
That's when
someone.
you walk in and like,
Yeah.
okay, do they bother by the customer?
Yeah.
How long would you give them before you walked out again?
I don't know, maybe 5. I don't know. Have I ever walked out?
I give
I don't think
I'm like a minute, and I'm like, now we're done.
We're done.
Yeah, I don't think I would walk out, but maybe I have a tendency of being a bit dry. Then I come to me and I was like, well, I want, So now I come across as a bad customer, that I'm meant to be.
Yeah.
Okay, what's your favourite Birmingham hospitality spot?
God.
You
know what? I've been to
got
Albert Schloss so much. I think it has to
Be
be
at one.
It has to be Albert Schloss, but I would go a lot less now. But no, but I love. To be fair, I love Hotel du Vin as well. I love the
Oh,
sort
nice,
of
okay,
French vibe. I love that bar at the front. It's
Nice.
good wine and chill vibes. So
Cool.
yeah, it depends on the mood. If you're late, you want to go for
Yeah.
some social time and dancing, then Schloss is great. But if you just want a glass of wine, and Hotel du Vin has been there for however long I've been
Long time.
in Birmingham,
Yeah.
and it's just kept that true to itself.
Love it.
Beautiful building as well.
Yeah.
Really nice use of the space.
Yeah, I love it.
Amazing.
Nice.
Cool. So, starting from the beginning, obviously there's a lot to cover. So, you moved from France to the UK, 20 years ago?
Yeah, it's been actually exactly 20 years. It was October 2004.
Nice. Oh, no,
Yeah, I
20
had a personal
Happy
mentor.
That's the anniversary, G. Yeah.
I had a personal mentor anniversary, and I was like, I think I should post a picture about when I moved in, and just I got this hard drive, but I couldn't plug in my computer, so I kept it on it. But I just found that picture because the way I looked then was like, God, man.
Yeah. So what was the driving force behind you coming to the UK then?
Yeah, so yeah, the driving force. So basically, I got to a point where like I went to uni, I studied physics, and I really had a passion for sound engineering at the time, and that was like what I wanted to do really. So I spent another year like learning. Well, I used to do a lot by myself as well, just my own studio. But then I tried to like get a job. I did some work placement. I did some vocational training. But I could see there weren't really, especially in France at the time, unless you had really good contact, it's who you know.
Yeah.
It's really hard to get in the industry.
And was this in Marseille or near Marseille?
Yeah, it was near Marseille. So I worked for like Radio Stars of Marseille, so first radio station for a while. And it is a bit of a cutthroat industry. It's like you start really low and you gotta like know the people and work your way up, and you earn peanuts.
Pennies,
It's like one of those like glorified jobs. Oh, amazing! It's like fashion.
Yeah.
And then you want to work for fashion.
Yeah.
You're gonna work 14. You're gonna get 14K, and it's London based.
Yeah.
So I'm
Travel every day.
on this. And I saw there's got to be more to this, and also like something maybe more like how I felt as well, because the way I've been brought up, I've been really lucky. We've got great parents, great family, very supportive, so don't complain about this. It's not like I have a traumatic childhood. And part of me was like, well, so you got all these things, you got a car and you got your apartment in Marseille, and like your parents been paying for a lot of stuff. But I was a bit like, yeah, but like, who are you? Like, can you prove to yourself that you can actually make a life for yourself, not just because you've been brought up in a good environment.
So were you scared making that move?
No, I wouldn't say. No, I was scared. It's like when you got that itch inside you and you're thinking, like, I think I need to prove that to myself. It's not like I was scared of it. It's more like I was almost not disappointed. It was a bit like, yeah, it's all well and good,
But there's got to be more.
But someone will look at you thinking, yeah, well, yeah, but you've kind of you had it all really, like and also. Things aren't really working out here, and I feel like I need to get out and see the world. I feel a bit stuck. South of France is a lovely place to live, but when you don't really have a goal or purpose, it's like, this is the job I'm going to do, you'll be like, I need to go somewhere. I need to like open my eyes to like other things, and hopefully I'll have an idea about what I want to do, like something that has better prospect than sound engineering, but also like excites me as well.
And when you got to the UK, what was the first thing you did? Like, where did you live? Was it in Birmingham? Did you?
Yeah, so it was. So it's a funny story, because most people go to London.
Yeah.
It's like, when you go to London, it's like, 20 years I've never lived in London. The thing is, probably we're going to come back to this a bit later as well. It's interesting, but like my grandmother is a yoga teacher. She's
Nice.
she's 80.
She's a what teacher?
A yoga
Yoga.
A yoga teacher, okay.
And I think she's like 86, 87. Late 80s, and she looked like amazing.
Yeah.
Like her hair and like she's a matriarch of the family as well. Because my granddad moved to Tahiti many years ago. So
Long story.
but yeah, long story. But then she's always been like, since then she become yoga teacher, really healthy, vegetarian, and full of energy and really smart and like,
Yeah.
But anyway, so she goes to Wales every year to this yoga ashram. And she said to me, well, I have a friend and, from the ashram, and she lives in Birmingham, and she says she got a room because she saw my grandson's going to the UK,
Great.
Wow.
And then she's like, oh, well, by the way, you come in with a friend, I came with my friend Yul as well, actually.
Yeah.
And we used to make music together. He's a rapper, and we used to like,
French MC.
Yeah.
I wanna hear that.
So that's the music we used to make.
Drop some bars, come on.
Yeah, and then the idea when this friend, his name is Ulrich, used to do a student exchange, Erasmus, in Spain. So we went to see them in Spain. I was like, oh, would it be great?
Aerosmith as in the band?
No, the Erasmus.
Aerospace.
Oh.
No, Erasmus.
Oh, okay,
Erasmus.
yeah.
It's like a student
Erasmus.
exchange program.
Yes,
Oh,
Erasmus.
Erasmus. Okay, yeah.
So you do like 2 years at uni, and you can do year 3 in a uni abroad.
I get you.
So they did like a year in Spain, and we went to see them. And I was like, God, that's what I'm going to do. Spend a year abroad and stuff. But for me, English was more interesting than Spanish from a conversational point of view. I was like, it would be great to be bilingual.
Yeah.
Because international language for my future would be good. So really the driver was like, well, I'm going to do something, but I'm going to go to the UK because I want to speak English fluently.
Yeah. So you didn't speak fluently
No.
when you first moved?
No.
Really
So basically I had like school training. I could read and write, but I couldn't hold a conversation for more than 3 back and forth because I would lose track because I'd be translating in my mind everything you said.
See, I think that's insane.
Yeah,
That's why I asked if you were scared. Because that's a daunting prospect.
Yeah.
moving somewhere, not having a full grasp of the language yet, and also not really knowing what you were going to do.
Yeah.
And you're saying you weren't scared.
And you were how old at this time? Like 20?
21. I was 21 because I'm born in November, so I was verging on 22. But I was I was that young. But the thing is that it's not like I was the thing the way like a lot of things that I do. Like I don't really get scared. I'm a risk taker. So it's like yes, it's a bit. I get a bit of anxiety about certain things, but I just want to put myself out there and see what it's like, see how I react. Yeah. And I think this theme has come back to
there's a theme throughout everything.
Yes, throughout everything. And I thought, I'm going to go there and I'm going to see what it's like. And I work things out. I had confidence that one way or another, I just work things out, you know. But at the start, when you land here and you start to speak English and you listen to radio, it's like, oh my God, you know. So it really takes a toll on your brain because you're constantly like translating, you know. And and eventually, and the thing you have to immerse yourself like fully, because I moved to this friend, so in Birmingham, my friend, being French, we used to speak French with each other, and then a bit of English outside. And then 3 months in, like I worked in a bar for a bit and I struggled to kind of like make some money and stuff. And I got to Christmas, literally I make 600 quid in 5 weeks working for indie bar, you know, cash in hand. I was working from like 5 p.m. till 4 a.m. every day. And I feel like I had no life because I wake up at 11, have some lunch, whatever. And 4 o'clock, I'm going to the bar. And I was like, God, man, she's stuff, man, you know? And
a lot of people will find themselves in hospitality though, because it's like a low entry level job. And do you think that helped you learn the language more?
Yeah, for sure, yeah, it helped me learning more, but also what's changed is that my friend, you got a job, more of a proper job, you know, in international commerce. He started working for a computer like bookshop. And he said, well, I think we should separate. I'm going to move there. And then, because I was thinking I might just go back to France right now because I had like literally £10 on that bank account that it took me 2 months to open because I had no address and anything like that. And it's like, so then I moved into a place in Bearwood with two English girls, you know. I was like, oh yeah, that sounds nice.
You know.
Yeah. What a great place, you know. What a great place.
It became a pimp.
Turn to the life of crime.
This is taking a turn.
No, I worked my way up pretty quickly. No, and then so going back to the English topic, so them being English and no French whatsoever, every day I was going back to the house. I had to speak English. I had no choice. And then at that point, in the next 3 months, I made more progress I ever made. But because I was completely immersed, there's no one French around me I could talk to, and that makes a huge difference. Because mentally, you go to bed and thinking, I mean, I got to remember this language because if I don't speak this language, I just can't.
It's like fight or flight, isn't it? It's like I have to,
But if you know you got a backup plan, even consciously, you're like, yeah, but if you need to speak French, there's still that person you can talk to. But when you don't have that, that's why even if you know nothing about the language and you go to a country, like let's say you go to India and they will speak, you know, Gujarati or whatever, like I've got no idea about the language, but if you're there and all you hear, all you see every day, you're going to start to create patterns about, that's what this means and that's what that means, you know.
Okay, I say we're gonna fast forward a little bit. You built a business.
Yeah.
So you built a business that you eventually got acquired, you sold it. So walk us through the sort of key milestones there of like deciding to open the business, go through that.
Going from being a pimp to a
business. That's
a big jump, man.
I had to get a legit job, you know. I mean, so the thing is that I eventually found, you know, another job, you know, in hospitality, you know. But I thought, you know what, I think a good way for me to get into the professional world would be maybe to go to uni and, you know, keep learning English, learn a skill, and hopefully get some contacts. So I went to UCE at the time in Peribas, called BCU now. And it was a media and communication course. So I saw a bit of sound engineering and stuff. And then a new media course. New media was like, at the time, new media, you know. It was like websites, you know, web design, basically. And I started doing this. I was like, you know what? I think I like this. It's creative, we're so technical, it's leverage my sort of scientific background. And my friend you work in his bookshop, and I worked there for a bit as an order picker. And I used to pick this like programming book. And I was looking at PHP, Python, I was like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You know, some people look at code and like, I don't get
And
it.
that must come from the physics stuff.
Yeah,
but yeah.
I look at the code. I used to do electronics and stuff, but I look at code, I'm like, yeah, that's clear. For me, I was like, yeah, of
It's
course.
like fucking Matrix.
Yeah, it's in Matrix. It's just like everything makes sense. So this if statement, this algorithm, expressions, like, yeah, this is it's, because I've got really logic, practical mind. I'm like, pure logic for me is like, yeah, it's clear, know exactly how you go from A to B. You
I'm
know.
laughing because I've got like Neo in my head when he starts seeing the code.
Yeah.
A beautiful mind.
Yeah.
Like writing things on the wall.
So I went to uni, and then so I did that for a couple of years, and then I got a freelance job like programming, and I started to make a bit of money and stuff.
And sorry to interrupt, but this sounds like it was during the time where it was like almost like the dot-com boom of the internet in the early 2000s happened, and this was like the verge of like Google, Facebook, everything like that. Like
So the dot-com bubble happened in 2000. So this was the aftermath, where things were like, okay, well, there's definitely big potential in internet and e-commerce and all this, but we just need to like start slowly now, start building from scratch, and I think at that point, obviously, the web development, web design become a big thing. By the time you were a web designer, means you would like programming, designing, database, servers, and eventually you see the expertise become more complex. But the way, so I started freelancing, and then I met a friend and his partner was an accountant. I said, oh, why don't you register a company, for like, I was like, what, me, a company? I mean, I'm not, who am I, you know what I mean? Because in France, like, you don't get this entrepreneurship sort of mentality like you get in the UK. So people who make company are kind of the wealthy, people who know, people in business, and you think, oh, can I? Yeah, you go on company's house, it costs like £15.
Easy, yeah.
I was like, really? So next day I went to company's house, I was like, well, I'm going to call this company Clownfish Design, because I like clownfish. We had a song, about it, and with my friend. And here we go. So first company there, And then I started building websites. And I started having the word around. And a really good friend of mine, Jean-Benoit, Berlou French as well, he worked at Jessica's, where Guillaume Piot used to be head chef. Yeah. And Guillaume Piot got awarded a Michelin star at the time. Yeah. So I used to pop to Jessica's, and I went to Glenn, as I was making bread. And I said, oh, do you have like any fresh yeast in the kitchen so I could make bread? Yeah. And he was like, yeah, sure, I'll give you the yeast, but I want to try your bread. So bring your bread back tomorrow, and I want to try it. So yeah, cool, So I make a brioche, and I make like a standard white loaf. And I'm back to Glenn Piot, and I was like, oh, here's my bread. And I was like, this is good bread, like, you bake well. Right. And then he was like, you know what, I'm going to launch my own restaurant. I need a website.
Oh, I thought you were going to say he made you make his bread.
Yeah. I know, this is like, okay. But it's funny because this is how we kind of like connected in that sense. And he said, yeah, I'm going to open a restaurant. Would you do the website? I said, yeah, for sure. For me, I was like, oh my God, first job.
Of course, yeah.
And we talk about how do you go from like, nothing, something. You need to land that first client, the first job. And that happened. And I remember at the time I charged £400
for the website.
For the website. And I built a website with a content management system in PHP and the whole thing, And that website was live for like the next 12 years.
Wow.
And I was really proud of my work because I'm like, yes, it's 12 years old, but look at it. It's still nice. Yeah. At the time, it's still, you know what, that's decent. Eventually, they redo it on a WordPress and, you had to modernize it eventually. But it lasted that long, And I think from then on, so Glenn would talk about, oh, who's done the Pernell's website? Oh, this guy, And one thing after another, you start building a bit of a
client base.
Yeah.
So snowballed from there.
Yes, yeah. But that's the first business. And my friend Yule came on board as well from a commercial perspective, and we did that for about 2-3 years, and then it got to a point where I think I was struggling because I hadn't really not much business acumen at the time. I was just a web developer basically, and I kind of struggled to really get some bigger contract and maybe the commercial side of things. And at that point, like I had to stop that company. It was kind of like starting to go under, I was like, yeah, you're kind of failing here, man. You're negative a bit too much. Yeah. And then I went to work for like an agency for a couple of years to kind of like put myself back on track. I had like credit card debts, obviously from uni as well. I didn't get like student loan or anything like that. I was like literally living on a credit card. Yeah, so I had not crazy money, but at the time when you don't earn a lot, it's 10 grand or something. Like, I'm gonna pay this off.
Yeah.
So I got myself back on track, and then I was like, this business stuff, it's just I'm not done with it. you know. And then I had some contact from before who were looking to build new stuff. And I said, I think I'm going to start a new business again. Would you be my first client? I said, yeah, well, if you launch this company, like, for sure, we give you the work. And then I started Cotidia, which in 2012, Friday 13th. Friday 13th is like always a bit of a day. There's a lot of 13s in my life, Even my house is number 13 now, unintentionally. And I went solo on this, so solo owner, and I managed to start like getting proper, more significant job. And I think the next thing about, so getting your first client is difficult, to answer your question, is the hardest thing. The second hardest thing is to go from 1 to 2. Because you're on your own, let's say you make, 5, 10 grand a month, okay. But then you hire a second person, all of a sudden you're doubling your business. You're doubling your revenue, you're doubling your costs, but you've got to double everything. So even though it's only 1 to 2, it's really small. Yeah, but actually I'm doubling everything here. And that's why it's really challenging, because from that point, it's not just about you making enough money for yourself. And you know what? If I don't make the money, I don't pay myself, but it's my own fault.
Yeah.
You hire someone, this person there is like, well, you gave me a job, you got to pay me. And you got the responsibility to pay this person.
So were there ever sort of, in terms of like overcoming obstacles, especially as somebody that has, you started doing your own freelancing stuff. You then worked for Viva.
Viva Aspire for a couple of years. Put myself back on track after the first business.
And then you then still was like, I'm not done here.
No.
I need to go and do my own thing.
Yeah.
And then you had some success because you got some clients, but then you ended up being responsible for others because you employed them.
Yeah.
Talk me through the sort of, were there any obstacles, or did you have to do like a mindset shift around, like, fuck, like I'm responsible for every sale that comes into this business.
Yeah.
In terms of new clients, I'm also responsible for people's paychecks.
Yeah.
Like, talk us through that.
Well, I think, it goes with growing and becoming more mature as a person as well. I started the first business, I must have been 24, 25, and, I wasn't like so strict with money and, you spend what you've got and that kind of thing. But then you got to a point where I know you're going to think more like, business, like you're going to think figures, mathematically, your accounts, does everything adds up, can I afford to pay those people, so I guess you become more mature, but you have, in your mind, you have to make that shift that it's so well and good to be responsible for yourself, and like I said, if you take a bad hit, then you only got yourself to blame. But when you hire people, you're going to be like, well, this is more than me here. Because there's their livelihood, they got mortgages, they got kids, so you become more responsible. I think you have to accept that responsibility as well. And you need a little bit of like, talking about failure, you need a bit of like that risk, because people are like, oh, I don't think I can risk that. What if I can't pay them? I can't get into business, Can't do
It
this.
drives you though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So like the guys, I own hospitality businesses, as you know, and the guys sometimes take the piss out of me. They're like, oh, do you ever feel the pressure of paying all of our bills? I'm like, well, yeah, I do.
Everything.
like literally every day. But like I need that accountability.
Yeah.
That's what makes me get out of bed in the morning.
Yeah,
I have
100%.
to do this.
100%. I think that's why you got this entrepreneurship in you, because you're thriving on that energy. It's stress, but at the same time, it's a driver, and having worked for a company last 5 years as a more like normal employee, once again, like when I work at Viva, I'm like, this ain't working for me, it's nice, it's good pay, good work, flexible. I mean, the perks of the job amazing, but I find myself more and more like, what's getting me out of bed here, And
So and again, I'm just sort of backtracking here because I think it's super important for people to hear. But let's say you obviously simplifying it down, the business goes really well, you're successful over a few years. Was it your intention to go out and get the business bought, or how did they come to you, and talk me through that?
Yeah, so
that must be like, for me, like I'm thinking here, if I had a business and somebody came to me and was like, I want to buy your business, you'd think, fuck, I'm there.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, well, that's
like,
what happened.
You're thinking about like legals. You're thinking about when do I get them. Talk us through. If you don't mind talking through them.
No, of course not. And so you grow the business and you start hiring the first person. You get your bigger contract. You get a bit more, and then we made a great team. We did some great work, and I had there's two people in my sort of professional career. So I would consider like mentor, like still today, is someone called Anthony Blackshaw and Nick Snell. And those two guys, basically, like, they really lift my game when it comes to programming, because those guys are amazing. One of the smartest programmers I know. And they show me the way into there's that level of making application, there's that level, you know. And this guy went to work for this startup in London, Nick, and he was like, look, you know, we need extra buffer here because we got too much tech work and we need someone to take off some of our project. Can your company come on board and do some work for us? I say, yeah, 100%. Me, like, yeah, one more client, you know, like.
Perfect.
And I met the CTO guy, like, you know, amazing CTO. So we really liked him from day one. And I think we really connected as person because I think he could see a younger self in him. In me, sorry. And great relationship. And we started doing some work for about a year or so. And then he came to me one day and said, look, you know, we want to expand. You know, would you and your guys come on board and join the company?
Just like that, just out of the...
Yeah, like having a coffee in London, like, you know.
Casually thrown in there.
I don't mean to, I'm just like, I love all this sort of shit, so that's what I mean, and I know you very well, so I want people to know as well, but this just, to me, emphasises the importance of like being a good storyteller, and when I say that, I mean like, you know, those scenarios and situations wouldn't have gelled as well as they would have unless you have a passion and an ability to connect with people. And I think it's a success metric for... When you look at most people who do really well, of course they're great at what they do, but they're great at telling stories. And what I mean by that is not making up stuff, but like their ability to connect with people and tell a story about who they are, what they do in the business, how they can make their businesses better. Yeah, well, you got to get yourself out there. You know, you one of the main, maybe the point 3 about a successful business is the network. You know, is the people you surround yourself with, and your ability to connect and make relationship with people that you may not necessarily like talk to normally, but you got to think about, you know, well, is this person? Is there something about them that maybe we should work together or learn from each other? You know, you're going to think more like that. Yeah.
Well, I wrote down the word opportunity here about 20 minutes ago, because what is striking me as you're telling all of these stories is that these may well be scenarios that quite a few people find themselves in, but I'm starting to think that your superpower is being like, there's an opportunity here and grabbing it, where some people maybe would be afraid or because it's scary.
They're too risky.
For me, I want to explore. It says opportunity. Okay, let's get to the bottom of this. You know, so going back to that conversation with Guy, you know, my first reaction wasn't like, oh my God, I'm about to maybe. It wasn't like this.
So that's what I'm saying. So he
wasn't like that. My first reaction was like, well, I fucking love what I'm doing. I love my business. I want to grow this company. Like, and I said to him that, well, how about maybe we become partners and stuff? He's like, no, like, you know, no.
And this is the CTO.
Yeah. And it was, I know this company has got massive amount of funding. At the time, they were on the verge of getting Series B, I think, with 100 million, you know, or 80 million, something like that. Is it's Octopus Venture, I think it was.
Zeros on it.
Yeah. So for them, acquisition was, you know,
it was part of the plan.
It was part of the plan, you know. And I said, well, you know what, like, let me have a think about it, you know. And so I went back, you know, and for me, like, my team means everything, you know. So I wouldn't do anything by myself if my team wasn't on board.
Yeah.
So I went back, you know, and I said to the guy, I said, look, you know, there's an offer on the table here. Like, you know, this company, well, by many at the time we're working for, like, they offering to us to come and work for them.
Was this a case of him just having a casual conversation to say?
At the start, yeah.
Oh yeah.
At the start, yeah,
it wasn't like a monetary, like, right?
No. At the start, it was, and a lot of those things start like this. It's casual. It's like they're just planting that seed, you know. As if it means nothing, but it means a lot.
Casual.
You know?
I'm only joking unless you say yes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly. No, you know. But I know he wasn't joking, but at the same time, there was no like anything offered or legal attached to it. It was just like a conversation. And then I went back to the team and I had a one-on-one with all my guys. I was like, look, you know, this was happening. Now, how would you feel if we quotidian, this agency, this is over. What we do now, we work for one big startup. A lot of great culture, a lot of like prospects. We all get equity, we all get promoted. I mean, it was a win-win on all levels. And I still remember, like, you know, then I talked to the guys, a group in the meeting room, and what of about them, they said, look, G, like, you know, whatever you do, we're on board with you. Amazing. And for me, that's meant so much to me. Because I felt like not only I've got loyalty with my team, but I felt that they have the loyalty with me as well, because they trust I was able to lead them in a good place.
Make the right decision.
It's about integrity. I think
Yeah.
they can sense that about you. They
Yeah,
trust you.
and I love that, and that grew my confidence into maybe that's a good idea then. Because at the time I was like I said, this is my business, and that's what I want to do. It's my baby, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went back, I did my figures. So I had to get on paper and say, okay, what's the prospect of this business growing in the next 2 years? And what's the prospect of us going to many pets? For what's called many pets today. And I run the figures and it was like, if we need to get this business to the next level, we probably need some investment, need a bigger client. I said, do you want to go down this route? Or do you want to take this offer, make some money because you're going to sell the business, which is great, obviously, but also then become part of essentially what's going to be more corporation, but then all your guys will probably be better off quicker because now tomorrow they can start tomorrow working on really big projects. And then so then I went back to CTO guy and I said, look, we can do it, but I want you to buy the business. And that's when the legal came in, because he was just like, oh, we just hire you. I was like, it's a business. I took years to build this business. There's a value, an intrinsic value about the training, the people, the hiring, everything. And I said to them, look, there's a price tag. I want you to buy me out. But that means with everything you go here, tomorrow is ready to go. You don't have to find an office. You're going to hire people, buy equipment, train your staff. So the way you kind of value the business was me like, well, if you're going to do that from scratch, how much would it cost you? And I tried to get a rough figure per staff, multiplied by the number of staff, or I think that's the figure, And then they were like, well, okay, well, we give you half the money now, and the other half next year to make sure you stick around.
Yeah.
And I was like, and the CTO, and so Steven and Guy was there that day. It was a really intense, you've got two, co-founder here with millions in the bank accounts, and you've got you there, trying to
get your money.
You know what I mean? And you always think about, how far can I push this? And part of me, I've got a lot of integrity.
So they didn't push back on your evaluation?
No, and then the only thing they said is that we give you 50-50.
Half now, half later.
But they didn't push back on the whole number?
No, but the original, they did give me a number at the start, a bit of a throwaway number, and I was like, nah.
Nope.
Go on, tell us the number. For the
50 grand,
Yeah.
I was like,
don't get out of bed for that.
Yeah, you always think to yourself, maybe I could have gone an extra 50.
Yeah.
But you just don't know, and I think this is become who you are as well, because I'm not a hard commercial negotiator. I'm more fair. I'm thinking, you know what, I think this is a fair value. And maybe I could have gone more, but at the same time, I wanted to have a really good relationship with those people. And I know I'm a fair guy, I've got integrity, and I think it's fair price. And I think the fact that they didn't try to negotiate down, I was probably within the area. I could have probably would have gone a bit higher. But, they said, oh, let's, can we have a chat? So it was them that going to have a chat in the kitchen while I was waiting like this,
So, are you now out of that earnout? You've done that year?
Yeah. So that's so then I worked for this company for the next 5 years.
Okay.
But you got the earnout the year after you decided to get the half up front, and then you.
Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, that's what you mean, isn't it?
I don't know. Yeah, the deal was solid.
It
was. I know sometimes deals can go wrong, but this we went to a lawyer in London. We sat down with the CEO. We signed the paperwork.
Was you shitting it when that process was happening?
Well, I mean,
I'd be sweating. I don't think I'd be sleeping.
To be fair, the real way I was feeling, I was so fucking excited.
Yeah.
I was like, this doesn't happen a lot. How often do you go to a lawyer to sign paper about selling your business?
Yeah.
And I was quite excited, and this something really sticks to my mind as well, because Guy came back to Birmingham, and I dropped in back at the station, back to London, and I said to me, congratulations, you first your sole business.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I was like, fucking yes, I did.
How old are you at this point? In your
37.
37. God, man.
And I was like,
but how great that someone pointed that out to you, because it's so easy to not visit that moment and not feel that thing.
And I think it comes back to what I said about the way he looked at me. He probably saw
himself.
I was like him, and I was like, you know what, I can see what this guy's going through now. He's probably thinking, and I want to literally make him realize what you've achieved now, because. It's great what you've done, and I think this is talking about him as a guy, the kind of person he is as well, and then from then down, we had an amazing relationship, and for me it was like, part of the reason why I was okay to sell is like, well, if I'm gonna work for someone, like I'll work for him because we had a relationship.
Yeah.
But if it wasn't for that relationship, I would be like, yeah, but I'm probably gonna be so unhappy working for this guy. But actually, his name is Guy, you know.
Yeah.
I was like, if we're gonna work for someone, then that's, you know, I
Yeah.
want to work for him
That
because,
speaks volumes.
yeah.
Okay, speaking of achievements, that segues nicely into, we want to talk to you about your passion for fitness and how
Yeah,
that's in your life as well. No,
No,
that's cool. It's something, and we probably could talk about it for loads longer, but I think there's loads of crossover here. Like that sort of determination, that willpower, the way you speak to yourself. So you didn't start, I mean, running's obviously a really big part of your life. You didn't really start running until your 30s, is that right?
Yeah.
What inspired that change?
Yeah. Well, I think there's a couple of things that maybe segue from the business. That you know, level of work and dedication comes with, you know, downside like stress, you know, burnout, lack of physical activity. You know, when you're 20, you know, like, you know, you had a big night, you had a hard day, you wake up the next day, you feel okay, you know.
Keep going, yeah.
Once you get to late 20s, early 30s, it's like, God, it's like, oh, a headache, you know, it's like, take me a couple of days, and you start feeling that your body is entering the decline mode, you know?
Preach.
Yeah, and then you're like, well, if I don't address it right now, like, it's a downward slope, I could go quite quickly. Because, you know, US have, like, decided this guy in their 40s, fucking big belly, like, and I was like, it's not going to be me.
Not me.
Can't be me, you know? And also, like, my... at the time also when doing all this, like my dad, like, you know, had cancer, you know, and it was quite a sort of difficult time for the whole family, but especially for him. And also it kind of like makes you realize that life is
100%.
You know, can be short, and you never know when something is gonna happen.
Is he still with us?
Yeah, he's still with us, like luckily. And I think it was like a great sort of like lesson because, you know, my dad is quite healthy as well. He's no heavy drinker or anything like this, but, you know, and I think maybe his reason maybe more related to stress. I mean, my granddad, his dad, like died when he was 50.
Wow.
So I think you got to that point, it's like, well, I'm 50 now, and my dad died when I was 50, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, and you know, I think this can affect you in different ways, you know. And sort of naturally, like, that puts you into that line as well, you know.
It does, yeah.
Because you think like, oh, how am I going to feel like, you know, when I get to this age, you know. And I think that fitness journey kind of started from, I could feel I had a physical need to exercise and get fitter from the business.
Yeah.
But also, like, I felt like, you know, I want to give myself the best chances of living long and healthy. And I think it starts now. It's not when you're 50 and you go this condition and overweight that you're going to raise your fitness level because you go too far to go, you know?
Yeah.
Prevention is better than the cure.
And then you decided to, from just starting fitness in your 30s, to go in and running the Jordan 250 kilometer ultra
so maybe
marathon.
we can tap into a bit of the barefoot running, because I think I'm probably
Did
a lot
you do
of
that
people,
barefoot?
Not that one, but almost. But not the whole thing.
Flat shoes.
But like, people probably know me, especially in the ultra running sort of communities that I've known. I'm the guy who runs in sandals and barefoot, you know.
Why?
And let's get to this, you know.
How long you got?
And that's going to give you a good explanation into the running bit, because I started running because I want to get fitter, you know. So it's quite simple as. I was going gym as well, but cardio, running and cardio for me, running is the base, you know.
Yeah.
So I started running, but I was like, God, I was doing park run, a 5K, God, it's long, it's hard. I'm thinking, God, man, it's 5K, like, you know, why is it so hard? I'm having pain behind my, you know, I was running and all of a sudden, I'm like electric pain, but I'm like, oh, what's that?
Yeah.
You know, I was like, anyway, like, weird, you know. And I had a girlfriend at the time, like Anna, and she said, I've got this amazing book, you should read it. It's called Born to Run. I was like, oh yeah, sounds interesting. And I'm not a reader, I don't read. Like, I would love to be a reader, because I like the idea of reading a lot of books, but at the same time, when I'm in front of a book, I'm like, page 10. But this one is a page turner. You know, when you read a book, sometimes you're like, oh my God.
Just keeps you there.
It keeps going. And the story is great. I think Mark Douglas is the name, the journalist who wrote it. He's a great storyteller. And he goes through this tribe, the Tarahumara, or Raramuri as they call them as well, in Mexico. And this is the barefoot running people. And he goes like, how is it that those people, they keep running in their 70s and there's no heart attack, there's no cholesterol, they're like this healthy as anything. As that, we think in our society like, oh, when you're 70, you need a walking stick, you know. But actually, from a biological perspective, like the human body can keep going.
It can endure.
Or more than this. And for me, imagine me thinking like, man, makes so much sense. Me being logical and pragmatic, that our human body was, designed and evolved over like millions of years.
We were running away from
running.
saber-tooth tigers.
Yeah, exactly. We're supposed to, we can swim and do the stuff, but running is really the thing that, if I don't give you anything, no props of any sort, you can go run across the field barefoot, you know.
So they don't have carbon-plated shoes?
No.
Oh.
No, they make... So those people make sandals out of car tire. So they get like a piece of rubber, they put their foot on it, so they draw a line around their foot, to the shape. So there's no
just
like pointy toes, it's like literally the shape of your foot. And then they put like a strap of leather through the big toe and to the back and strap it on like a Roman sandal.
Imagine the grip on that though.
Yeah.
It's proper like, car rubber. And then, so this like, I went, at the time I was reading this book, I went to a dog sledding expedition. I think I mentioned that.
Yeah, as you do.
In the past a bit. Yeah, in my mind I was, I need some adventure, I need to get out and stuff.
Yeah.
And I had this book, and I remember reading it in the tent on ice. And we used to camp on ice in the night, with the dog and stuff. And I remember reading this book, and I was like, God, when I come back to the UK, like, I'm gonna try this. And I came back from the UK and I went on eBay. I ordered a sandal kit, a piece of rubber with a string.
You built your own, yes.
And then the Birmingham 10K came up, and I signed up for it. I was like, I'm going to run in those sandals.
Yeah.
4K. I was like, okay, I'm going to put myself out there. Yeah, if it's hurts too much, I'm going to have to stop. But like, and
you
then,
trained in them first, right?
Barely. Well, I wore them a little bit, but like I was so I didn't know about this whole barefoot stuff, and we see in the hindsight now, like when I say to people, it's like you've got to really like teach your body how to run barefoot, and your muscle is going to change, and your calf and everything. You can't just go straight into it because you haven't done it before. Your body's not adapted yet. Although you should be naturally, but because we wear shoes, we misadapted.
Right.
So then I did the 10K, and then the pain in my calf the next day, oh my God. And I was like, because that extra extension you get from not having a heel, over 10,000 steps,
it's a lot.
Your muscle and your ligament is like, my God, we're not used to this, But then what I really realized then, I found a way to relearn how to run in a natural way. Yeah. And I found a pace, and I was like, you know what, I think I could keep going forever.
God.
When you find that pace, it's like you zone 2, zone 3, you're doing maybe 5.5, 6 minutes. Not crazy fast, but you've got that rhythm. If I got across like half of this country, I could probably get on that diesel engine mode cruising. And I was like, then I was like, well, how far can I run then?
Yeah.
And then I started doing like sort of longer run. And I came across this company called Ultra X, who do like ultra running sort of races across the world. And I was like, and they had a race in Mexico where those people come from Born to Run. Right. The 250K over 5 days. Oh my God, like 250K over 5 days in that canyon country in Mexico. For me, I was like, it's like realizing that dream of that book, thinking, when I can run barefoot, how about I try to go to Mexico and do what I've done? Yeah. So for me, that was the mindset. And just before, a couple of months before it, they unfortunately had to cancel Mexico because of local sort of administration and money, and I think they're starting to like charge them more money and stuff like that, And so as I said, we're going to pull out. It's not really safe to go there anymore because the cartel and all sorts, down there. Yeah.
Gangsters.
And my mom was like, "Are you sure you want to go run?" But me, I was like, yeah.
So talking about your mindset, then I'm going to sort of put a few questions into one because there's obviously a theme here, but like. Especially with you, and I know we could probably talk for hours about this, but you've just done an Ironman as well, like a full distance Ironman. So congratulations on that.
Yes, thank you.
I know how horrific that must have been. But with your mindset now over like business, fitness, taking risks, that obviously lends itself to having the right mentality and character to do hard endurance events. Yeah. What do you think? What do you think your sort of personal mantra is around like your mindset when it comes to achieving and doing things like this and leaning into stuff like that?
I think that there's a few aspects to this. I think if you talk about business and sort of sports together, I think it's finding the balance between how much are you willing to push yourself, in one way to earn money, build a business, and how much you're willing to push yourself to be a faster runner, the performance. And I think realistically, if you want to be really the best at one, you must have to do the one all the time, But for me, like, life is not about being the best at the one thing. If anything, I found that a bit too reductive. I would rather like have a lot of components in my life which are exciting and have that benefit in their own right.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I think it correlates quite well, because I know how to keep going. I know that hard work pays off, whether it's in training or whether it's like working in business. And I know that there's like the compounding value of doing something consistently and overnight.
Yeah.
And I think where it's hard sometimes is people that want these quick results. We've seen it, Because in your mind you're thinking, from this to that, for me to earning the lottery tomorrow, I can visualize it. But if I ask you to visualize the compounding effect of training 1 day a week for the next 300 days, it's a lot harder in your mind to thinking like, how am I going to go from there to there to there? But somehow you do. Because one day you get out of bed, you go and run that run. Like, God, I feel my legs feels good. I'm going fast. My pace, my VO2 has gone up. And then the compounding value shows on your watch then. Yeah. But you haven't necessarily saw day by day the effect of it. But you have to believe and have faith that the process will get you there.
You learn more along the way than if anything were an overnight success. It's more character building. Let's talk about future ambitions.
Yeah.
Having achieved so much in business and fitness, and it sounds like you're someone who likes having something to work towards. You like having a challenge. What's next? What are the main goals or challenges?
Well, so some from the fitness. So you mentioned the Ironman, like this is a new thing on the board. So after there's been the Jordan, so the Mexico run turned into Jordan in the desert. That desert run I did. And people know me like now, like, this guy ultra runner, like he does a big, races and things like that. So, my friend came to me, from France, Vincent, and he was like, will you do an Ironman with me? Because he's got this fitness perk now. He's like 40, but obviously he's like, I want to get fit. He's still fit, but he hasn't really done that. So I was like, well, you know what? If you sign up, because you know me, like, Ironman. I was like, well, if you sign up, I sign up then. With that face thing, I was like, like I don't cycle. I'm a pole swimmer, But I was like, I can't, I have to, I have to do this. So we did it, and I think I was on the train for sure, because I think I underestimated the amount of work in each discipline of triathlon that you need to put in to really perform. I finished in 14 hours, and trust me, the last 2 hours were grueling. And I'm like, when I was there, I was like, I like to finish a race well. That's what I say. It's not about winning for me. It's about doing it well. I enjoy it. I finish a decent time. I'm like, it's good performance. Well done, But that Ironman, I was like, last 2 hours, it's too long. I can't run anymore. It's like it's taking too long. So when I finished the Ironman and came back, I was like, my friend said, do you want to do another one?
Let's go again.
I was like, hey, yeah.
Are you gonna?
Yeah. So the answer to your question. Is that we signed up for Ironman Nice in end of June.
Yes.
So from January, we're going to have 6 months to train for that.
Home Ironman, right? Like south of France.
South of France Ironman. And it's hilly as hell, apparently, the mountain. Yeah. So apparently the bike, there's chances you won't make the cutoff if you don't, perform well enough. So that's that. So I think for me, that's the biggest thing, coming up now is that can I do an Ironman, let's say under 12 hours potentially, and this one is going to be harder than Barcelona given the elevation as well on the bike. And then on the business side, I think for me, ideally, I'm looking at my career as like, well, I've got, a good 20 years ahead of me. When I'm in 60, maybe I can reassess whether what I want to do then. But like clearly, like, I'm 42 now, like, I've got plenty of energy and, potential inside, in me. And I'm like, I want to do some things. I want to look back in like 20 years thinking, you gave yourself a wheel shot here.
Yeah.
Because I could just you could get a job, being employed, and it's all fine, but like, for me, that's not enough. Because you kind of had a job, and I was, it's always easy, it's not.
There's always that itch there.
But like, what did you try to achieve that really was meaningful? Something with a high purpose. Can we make something really significant there? But also like going back to the world where you're your own boss, you're in charge of the business, because that's where you belong. And people I worked with in the past, they still today say, oh, gee, like, we'd love to work with you again.
Great.
And I just can't wait to the moment where I can get something off the ground, having the funds, and just work with people I'll be working with again. And I think for me, if I can achieve that, then I'll be happy, and I can look back and say, you were employed for a few years, but then you get back on it, you had a proper shot. And if it fails, so be it. But we haven't talked about failure actually that much. But I think you gotta,
Podcast number 2.
Number 2.
Exactly.
Second installment.
Exactly. You got to accept that I may fail, but that's part of the process.
If I back anyone to see the opportunity and grab it, I think it's going to be you. I think you'll see it. But what we're going to do is we're going to make sure we link you, because I think people are going to want to see this Ironman journey. They're going to want to see how you said under 12 hours.
You said
I said myself, I'm glad you didn't say 10.
8 hours. Thank you so much for coming in and talking.
Yes, thank you very much for having me.
And thank you everyone for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, comment, let us know what you think. Show G some support. Thank you very much. See you next time.
Thanks, guys.
Boom.